Welcome back to a brand new coffee tech break with Jan. So today I want to take you through version 3.10, a really exciting new release. And of course, take a cup of coffee and I will walk that all through. Now, as you know, we got great application running on Studio X and G7500, but let me walk them through them to give you a quick heads up. Before we get started, I want to thank the community because we passed really a milestone together last week, like 3,000 subscribers and 1.5 million views. Wow. And it's absolutely really appreciated and good to see that it's much appreciated doing unboxing, technical tips and tricks and everything you can think of because it seems to really help a lot of people out there. So I will keep on doing this. So if you want to stay up to date, can only say subscribe to Jan's Coffee Tech, and I will keep you try to do it weekly, give you updates on the latest and greatest. Now, I know you guys are waiting for the 3.10, so let's get started. 3.10, good stuff. It's supported on the X30, X50, X70, that really massive, only one speaker bar, very popular at the moment for the larger rooms, and the G7500, that black box where you can connect different cameras, audio speakers if you come from group series. You can reuse a lot of that equipment, but I will walk that also through in 3.10 update. But it's supported on all devices at the 3.10, so we got some great features. And that whole all-in-one concept is really attracted by the market because it is really simple setup. You got a clean room, it's all connecting over IP with each other, so with the TCA touch panel, or if you got a touch screen that's also out of the box and supported by those devices. So Studio X is really popular, and we keep on developing with our partners, Microsoft, Zoom, and all those video partners. We keep developing new features. So also in the 3.10, we got some great new features, not only in the different platform, but also in the Studio X itself. So I will walk that all through. Now, I'm not holding you off anymore. Let's jump in my computer now and take you through those great updates. As usual, just sit back, relax, take a cup of coffee, and just watch great 3.10 update. So a lot of exciting things. So with every new release, we get those latest and greatest updates from the video partners. So you will see some updates from those different providers, and I will walk them all through. So you got an impression of those new functionalities. And also I will show them. So I'll also step out the presentation because I think this is always appreciated by the community. I will step out and if possible, I will show you those different features and functionalities. Now, what first is very important, and I think this is always the basis, is how to upgrade and downgrade. So where are you able to find that 3.10 release? First off, through the web UI. So if you open up your IP browser to the Studio X or G7500, you go to the device management and there you can find the 3.10 release. As you will find it there, make sure that your TC8 is paired if you got that. So that will make sure that these two devices are in line with the same version, because otherwise you can get all kinds of inconsistency with those devices or unpaired, etc. So there are also some other things important here, the automatic updates. So if you enable those at night, these devices will be updated. What I usually recommend to customers is first test a couple of devices. So do you want to turn these on? I don't know. I would say just turn these off, and if there is a new version, always check in a couple of rooms how that version is functioning on the network. I think this is really important, and this is for a standalone device. The other standalone option is using a USB stick. So if you go as an installation personnel, you go on site, you don't have internet connectivity, you can always create a USB stick, put that software version there, unpack it on the stick, and you can put it in those devices, and it will automatically upgrade using that USB stick. The other option, which I think is also really appreciated, is using HoloLens. It's free till certain features and functionalities, which I will show you in one of my next videos also. But you could do in the basis software updates from HoloLens. So you will find there that latest and greatest version. There's also that option to turn on auto updates. Again, I would recommend to just create a group, for example. So you could create groups now. The UI is massively updated, so it's very nicely and clear. You can find the different features and functionalities, and it keeps on with the development of Lens, because that is really the centralized management platform for all of your devices, also headsets, speakerphones, etc. You create a group, put a couple of devices in there where the users are aware that you've upgraded those rooms, test it out 1 or 2 weeks, and see if that rooms are functioning correctly. Just to make sure, because every network and every Teams environment can be different in features and functionality. So make sure you just do a couple of tests, and if the audio, the content, screen, everything is working correctly, I would say you can upgrade all of them, or you do a couple of extra rooms and test them out again, just to make sure that is functional. Now, there's really nice updates has been done through the Poly Lens. So you can create policies with the highest policy based on an individual device. You can create policies based on the site, which is based on IP address, on network. You can create policies based on device groups. So this can be a test group where you do those upgrades. And you can also create policies based on device model. So, for example, for X30 specific or for X50 specific, for some bigger rooms. So, really customize that and create those policies. So, as soon as they come into Poly Lens, they will be following into, for example, the device model, and you could put a specific policy on that device. Really, really nice. So, yeah, I just recommend check it out, get an account there. It's just free to lens.poly.com. Get an account there, play around with it, and let me know what you think of it. Now, upgrades, you can also do them through Teams Admin Center, of course. So here you see Teams Admin Center, and what is important, there is a tab, Teams Room on Android, where you can find the devices, but make sure you upgrade both Studio X and the TC8. I still see a lot of customers who forget to upgrade the TC8. And again, that could lead to inconsistency, maybe device unpaired or any other unexpected behavior. So always check, if you do it through Teams Admin Center, that you upgrade both of them. And you can check that in the web UI if needed. So you can always find those versions in the web UI of the Studio X, also the version of the TC8. Same for Zoom. So Zoom device management also gives you the ability to upgrade both Studio X and the TC8. So always make sure that these are aligned. I just try to push that out as much as possible for our customers to make sure that to keep that all in sync, which saves at the end customer frustration, saves support tickets, etc. And as I said, try to test it in 1 or 2 rooms to make sure that any upgrade specifically works in your environment. Now, what is also good to know, if you need to downgrade, so let's say that you've done the upgrade to 3.10, you run into some issues, some incompatibility with Teams Admin Center or Intune or anything, try to downgrade otherwise to 3.9 or 3.9.1. You can do that through Lens if needed. So Lens offers that ability where you got the drop down menu, you can just select another version and you can do that downgrade. So it gives you always the possibility, if you tested out those rooms, you run into some issues, just try to get to that previous version and see that it's working again. And then at least you got some idea about the expected behavior. Now, what is included with the 3.10 release? I think that's always good to know. So we got the TC8 controller software version 3.10, as you see right here. We got the Poly IP adapter 3.0, so that's still the same. We got IP table microphones, which comes with 3.0, and these are all the devices which are mostly connected to the G7500. Then we got the Cube, which can have an update to 3.131, and the Poly E70 camera, which has now an update to 1.3, which is, I think, a sort of maintenance release. There's no new features at the moment, but just a maintenance release, compatibility release with different devices. So make sure if you push out the 3.10 release that all those devices are all on the same version. So you don't have any issues where peripherals like TC8 or ceiling microphone, table microphones or the E70 are incompatible. Now, specifically on the E70, because that camera is very popular at the moment in the mid-size to larger medium rooms. Now, if you have that hooked up to the G7500, then it will automatically get those updates through the software update to that 1.3. Now, if you hooked it up to MTR Windows, then you will also have the ability to push that out through the Windows Update services. That is usually an automatic process, so as soon as you've updated the operating system, etc., it usually always grabs the latest and greatest for attached cameras. As the E70 is certified Teams Room camera, it will automatically get those updates. Now, if you want to push it out, you already want to push it out at maintenance release because it always could take some time before the Windows Update services are there. If you already want to push it, you install Poly Lens app. So you break out, you go to the administration interface, you install the Poly Lens app, and the Poly Lens app will automatically prompt you that there is an update. So here you can force it to 1.3. And as it is a maintenance release, it could solve maybe some compatibility issues to make sure that it is aligned with the Teams Room system, etc. So you could already do that if you need to force it. And the Lens app, with the Lens app, you can also change speaker track, group track, framing size, and there's a lot of features and functionalities, the frequency of the camera for the lighting. So there's a lot of functionalities which are in the Lens app where you have the ability to change all those settings. Now, that was concerning the E70. Now let's dive into the updated applications. And first we're gonna jump into the MTR for Android app because Microsoft did quite some development on that new app. So I will walk you through all those great new features. So first off, the updates through Teams Admin Center. So what is embedded in that new release? We call it now Microsoft Update 1 2022, which was previously named the Update 4, but this is now renamed to Update 1 2022. So we start a new counting for this year. Now, what is embedded in the 3.10 release? That is the 1305. So again, make sure that your TC8 and your Studio X both run that new version. Now, in case you have that version running on your Studio X and Microsoft brings out a new maintenance release in Teams Admin Center, no problem. You always have the ability to push out the maintenance release to your Studio X and your TC8. So that is always a possibility. But again, upgrade not all the rooms at the same time, just upgrade 1 or 2 rooms, test it out, even when it's a maintenance release, just test it out And that just to make sure that it fits in your environment. Because what I've seen is that every environment is different and could behave different. And you got in Teams, you got probably Intune, you got mobile device management, you got maybe policies in there. There could be anything configured in Teams Admin Center. So what I've seen, just test it first out, test the compatibility in your environment to make sure it's working, and then you push it out and to those other devices. Now, what is also important, and this is also wanted to raise because what I see a lot is that you need to also update your TC8. So here you got your Teams Room on Android there, the Studio X devices, but under the Touch Console tab, this is the TC8. So you really need to go to that other tab, and there you can upgrade your TC8. I would like to see like more alerts on that to the admin person. Probably see that in the future to make sure that they're always aligned in versions, because if these are incompatible, it could lead to problems with the connectivity or the pairing, etc. Now, one new feature which I wanted to raise, which was already available, is the HDMI ingest and the device mode. And so I just wanted to raise it because this was a long awaiting and much appreciated feature. So I wanted to bring it up again. So you have the ability to use now. So you got that sharing button, so you can share in the meeting or outside the meeting. So you can just walk into that room, use that HDMI cable, and you can share in that room. You don't have to set up a Teams meeting. You can just share anything outside the meeting. I think really nice. Now, if you want to hook up another like client on your laptop, for example, you got maybe a Zoom meeting on your laptop or a WebEx meeting or any other platform, you can just hook up that USB cable into the laptop. The Studio X will automatically jump to device mode. And you've probably seen some earlier videos, and I can put a link up there where you're able to find it. So it jumps to device mode, and you can just select them in your application, your video application, select camera, speaker, and mic, and you can use now any video platform. I think really powerful. And then you can also share your screen. And so if you need to put that platform on your presentation on the bigger screen, just plug in that HDMI cable and you have the ability to do that. Now, if you don't use the USB cable and you have a Teams meeting running, then you can also use just the HDMI cable to share. Yes, so you can share in that Teams meeting. It's all available now. Looking at tips and tricks, because I also get a lot of questions about that. So we have now placed it in the room and we have that sign out button still on the TC8, which a lot of people probably think they need to sign out, because that looks like it for people who walk into that meeting room. So be aware that there are policies available, user policies and meeting policies. So I'm not going to jump into this now, but I want to make you aware of it. I will put as soon as I got it available, I will put a link there to a video. And so I'll create a video next couple of weeks about this and show you how you can attach a user policy, which is just the user who signs in, but also attach a meeting policies. If you got a research account, you attach a meeting policy, all the sign out and everything will be hidden behind the admin password. So if you walk into this room, you got very limited buttons in that admin interface. And I know this is also a question I'm getting a lot. So I already wanted to raise that right here to make sure you keep an eye on my channel, as I will push out a video on this. What is new in the 3.10 in the Teams application? So we're gonna walk them through one by one. First off, we got hot fixes, maintenance. So there's always maintenance with every release. Maybe there are some customer escalations, etc. These are all built in. So everything that we find or Microsoft finds through the support tickets, it will be embedded always in that latest release. So that is always in there. New features, dual screen participants. I think this is a very nice feature. So first, if there's no content shared, you always had the participants on one screen. So X50 and G7500 is dual screen. And so that was always limited to if you don't share content, still you had your participants only on one screen. Now, if you don't share content and you got a dual screen system, the participants will now be spread over two screens. Very nice. So this is not like front row or something yet. That layout which you got on the Windows side, that is not available yet on the Android side. But this is just to have the ability to spread those participants over two screens. Now, if you share content, of course, then the second screen will be content and all those participants will move to the first screen. But of course, it's very powerful. You can use now both screens, so the whole screen estate with your Teams meeting. Dual screen participants. Custom background. So select custom background. So custom backgrounds are pre-packed. So you cannot upload at this time your own background. This will probably also something be down the road, but now today is just fixed background. So you can select them on the touch panel, which I will show you in a bit where that's possible. And you can select some of those custom backgrounds and have them available for you to use. Yeah, it gives the room a bit more color and a bit more usage, and people recognize it very quickly with those coloring and have the ability to use it. LLDP support. So this will probably not something which network guys will recognize immediately, but this will not be recognizable for everybody. But LLDP support is like CDP, which probably also doesn't say a lot of people, but these protocols are used on negotiation on network. So which VLAN, which network should I use? And this is really for the networking guys. And you will have that functionality now available to turn it on through the Teams app interface, which I will show you in a bit where that button is. So this is purely underwater a network layer thing. And this is not something for the user to have the ability to use this somehow, but it's very flexible. You got those switches there, and yeah, it doesn't come to the network somehow. You just turn on LLDP, and it will negotiate with the switch which network it needs to use. A very nice one. This is something for the user. You can now join as a presenter. So StudioX G7500, you can join as a presenter. You can put in that HDMI cable if you want to share using your laptop and be a presenter in that webinar. So not live event. This is something also probably somewhere down the road, but this is purely for the webinar function inside your Teams app. So you can invite your StudioX to a webinar and have the ability to join that. Really, really nice. What more do we have? Exciting stuff with the Teams app. So you can spotlight multiple attendees at once. In case you got a touchscreen, and that's also very nice. You can use that, but also do that on the TC8. Spotlight multiple participants where you first could only spotlight one person. You can do that now for multiple ones. Docked meeting controls. Docked meeting controls means it's now hooked up on the bar, as you see right here, very nicely integrated here underneath, and you got these buttons really nicely integrated there. Where they first were sort of floating those buttons, this makes it much more sense and easier to find for those users. Docked meeting controls. So new reactions. Of course, very nice. So new reactions. So in the meeting on TC8 or on the TV UI, you can select now reactions in those meeting rooms. Is a possibility during the meeting. So it saves a lot of like unmuting and giving response or something. And here you can quickly ask, or if you got a question or something, you can raise hand. Yeah, it makes the meeting, I think, much more comfortable without breaking in all the time, unmuting and say, let's say I got a question. No, and this is visible for everybody. Also on the client side, they can see the hand being raised by a different participant, and it can make the meeting much more fluent, I think, to walk it through. Blur background. Very nice. So there is in the TV UI, I haven't seen it on the TC8, but if you use a touchscreen, I've seen this on the TV UI. So I can show you that, that availability there. So you can blur your background if you want. And to just make sure if you are in a meeting room, personal meeting room, home office, and you want to cover up your background, you got that option in the TV UI. And probably because it is in a sort of personal experience, yeah, and touch is a sort of a preferred device with Studio is. It makes sense to use it, and it could be a catch up and the TC8 because I haven't seen that on the TC8 yet. But as I said, there could always be a sync up in one of those upcoming versions. Now, what more do we have? And this is, I think, a really nice one because I see a lot of people when they had a meeting in the meeting room that will walk out of the meeting room. So everybody left at the Teams meeting and that device is still in the meeting, each bandwidth, each network. So what is available now when there is nobody in the Teams meeting anymore? The Studio X will discover that and it will automatically, it will mention it, that will automatically leave the meeting as it doesn't make sense to keep it in the meeting. So it will automatically detect that. And the same thing is being used for casting. So you've probably seen casting functionality on iOS and Android. And casting is now also available on Windows PC. So if you share something on the screen, and you stop casting, then it means that the system could be still in a sort of meeting. As casting just sets up to meeting, you can share content. Now, in case then you stop casting, it will also automatically leave. So it's a combination of different features. But you can now just walk into the meeting room with your PC, laptop, Windows laptop, and due to the Bluetooth discovery, it will you have the ability to cast also now, not only from your iOS device, Android device, you can cast also from your Windows device. I don't know if it's like really a public feature already, but it is in a sort of the last phase, what I can see, and to use casting. And I will show you that. So I will show you those different features here and functionalities that are available. Welcome in my MTR for Android meeting room. So here I can walk you through that experience using MTR for Android on the Studio X. So I got here on the laptop a very big touchscreen, nice for your home office. And at the table, I got a TC8. So I can show you exactly the experience that you would have when you hook it up to a touchscreen. Now, what do we have? So I also have a mouse here. And so I can navigate here with my mouse and walk you through those different functions. So if you don't have a touchscreen, don't worry. If you want to play around with it, you can always attach a mouse and you can click all those different functions. So that's always an option. Now, first off, we have here the Meet Now. If you click that, that gives you the possibility, if you got that room and it is available, nobody's in there, you just want to start an ad hoc meeting and invite different participants, you can start it right here. Very flexible. Just ad hoc meeting, which is available right here. Underneath, we got a share button. The share button is where you are outside a meeting and you just want to share something, you can press that and show content or don't show content there. So I got another video, which I will put a link there, which I'm walking through that experience. Here got the ability to enable that and open that source. And as I said, you don't need a Teams meeting for that. You can just share something outside the meeting. If you're in a Teams meeting, and then if you click that, it will share that content also in the Teams meeting. So I think it's a very nice feature, which is new or was already new in the previous release, but it's good to mention that it is available now. The other thing is under more, we got settings. And I will walk that through on the TC8 to show you all those different features and functions. And here you also got volume control. You always have the ability to set that here. And if I click on settings, what you will see, you got here all those different features and functions. Now, depending on the account you log in, you will get those different features. So now I'm a user. That means I got access to everything. As you can see, wallpapers, calling, the menu, got the sign out. If you sign out with that resource account and set meeting policy, this will be squeezed and everything will be like a sign out, will be behind an admin password. I think this is really nice. And I will show you that, as I said, in one of my upcoming videos. I will walk you through and show you that experience. Now, different features and functions. So I will show you this also on the TC8 later on. Let me first start a meeting and show you the experience. So if I click on join right here, it will start the meeting. And here you see also those docked meeting controls. So underneath you got that bar now where it shows the meeting. And here you can click on layout, as you see right here. It just gives you the option. So if you share content, you will get some different layouts. Here you can add participants if needed. Just in the basis, if you're already in a meeting, we got those new emotions. And so you can set during the meeting, you can just click on one of those emotions to share them. Here you can enable or disable that sharing. So if you got something connected through the HDMI. Now, if I click on the three dots, you got some additional options like blur background. We got here live captions, turn on or off incoming video. We got dial pad, we got turn off room remote. And so that means you can use your mobile as a controller device. We got here the volume control, very nice. And we got here camera on and off and the mute button, as you see right here. Really nice. So these are the controls when using only a touchscreen. And just very basic, but I think really nice and powerful to use that if you only have a touchscreen. For the user, just walk into that meeting room, they walk to the touchscreen, they click on the join button and can start using it. Now, what is also available, and that can be also when you use a touch only, is in the side menu, you got device mode, which can also be enabled when you just plug that cable into a laptop. But if you want to force it to device mode, you can have a right swipe here on the touchscreen and click on device mode. And what you will see is that the system will now automatically jump into device mode. Device mode means that I can walk into my laptop, plug in that USB cable, and the camera, speaker, and mic will be shared from that Studio X to the laptop. Now you got some controls. You can set here the mute, you can set the volume controls, and these controls are then matched with the laptop because the laptop will be running a Zoom meeting or will be running a WebEx meeting. So you'll be able to control those things here from the Studio X side. And here on the right side, you got exit. And so if I click on that, you will get back into the Teams UI. Now, you can also exit by just unplugging the USB cable. And I can put a link there to a video where I will show you that experience. I know you can set a configurable timer. So if you want to unplug it and directly switch back, or do you want to unplug it and have a configurable timer? These are all options available. So I've now enabled the TC8. And so the controls, instead of using them on the Touch UI, you have now full control on the TC8. So you cannot use them both at the same time, at least not today. And so these are all now at the TC8. So on TC8, we got the calendar and we see those join buttons as you see right here. We got the Meet Now button. So this is the same button as with earlier. So if we click that, you can just find a user in the address book and you can dial to that person. Very flexible and just start a sort of ad hoc meeting. And that's Meet Now. And the room is available. Just walk in, quickly want to set up something. There's no meeting in the calendar, etc. Now, then we find under more. If we click on that, you will find also the Meet Now button. You got here that share button. So if you click on that, you can share just during a meeting, during a Teams meeting or outside a Teams meeting. You got the feedback button if you want to provide some feedback to Microsoft. We got here the settings and the volume control. And so layout is a little bit different compared to that touch experience, but these are all the same buttons. Now I can click here also on settings. And if I click on settings, you have here different functions and features available again, depending on the user. So if you're a user or you're logged in with a resource account, with a meeting policy, and depend on what you will see here. And now as a user, you will see everything. And let me quickly walk them through because there are some interesting features in there. So first off, meetings, as you see right here. So show meeting names. So for example, if you use it in an executive room and there is an important financial meeting or something, you don't want to make sure that other people will read those meeting names and you can hide them. So here you have that option to not show the meeting, you only see the person who scheduled the meeting. Allow Bluetooth beaconing. This is for the casting. So if you want to use casting, and I will show you that functionality in the Windows PC client. If you want to use casting, it will do some initial recognition of the device over Bluetooth, Bluetooth beaconing. And here you can turn that off. So if you don't want to discover those devices over Bluetooth, you can turn it off. Automatically accept the meeting. So that means if I'm casting to an MTR for Android, it will automatically answer that request. If you don't want that, and you can also turn that off. That is possibility. Allow remote control from a personal device. So you can use your remote as a control. I showed you that also, I think, in one of my earlier videos. So I can put a link right there and show you that functionality. So you got volume control, mute, etc. Some basic functionality available. So you can turn that off if you don't want that. The max occupancy notification, that is a sort of check, especially during COVID. That was a good one to make sure that you're not fully packed in that room, that you get a sort of notification on the screen. But as people are moving back to the office and COVID goes a little bit more and more to the back, hopefully for a long time, we probably don't need that in every room. And so we got that also available. That is under meetings. Then we got the option here, calling. And that is more for basic calling, like ringtones. So you can set calls for you. So if there are some different calls for me here, you can set different like ringtones here. If calls are for me, or if it's our forwarded calls or delegated calls, you can put in different ringtones. Also, you can block calls if there's no caller ID, specifically for calling features. Makes sense. Device pairing. So here you can unpair the device, unpair it on like Teams. So if I click here, reset pairing, you need to pair it again in Teams and put in that PIN code, etc. So here you can do that. Then we got wallpapers. That is the one which I mentioned earlier. So no custom wallpaper to upload. These are predefined wallpapers available. So you can just select your wallpaper. It will automatically download and show it on the screen. As you see right here, really nice. At least it's a great start. And you can give your room some more color if needed. So these are the wallpapers. Then we have the next option, show you that is report an issue. So if you want to report something, you can base that do that based on the account and also attach logging, etc. And then we got the about. It gives you some information about the client. Here you see the sign out button. As I said, this is signed in with a personal account, so I have the ability here to sign out. You got device settings. Now if you click on device settings, you can go a little bit deeper in the menu. You can go to debug. If you want the accessibility settings, you can change some of the text. So if you need larger text or smaller text or medium-sized text, and you got the ability to do that. So here you can change those accessibility settings if needed. About, that gives you the information about the Teams client. Very nice. So not only about the like a Studio X, as you see right here. So you can find here also the version of that Teams app. You see right here, the 13.05, but also from the controller. So I can walk down, and this is also the 13.05. And so you can always check, if needed, those different versions under About. And as I said, that probably the most of this information is under admin and password if you set this to a shared room. But as a user, it makes sense. You got those things available if needed for troubleshooting. Now, then we can go under the admin settings, and this is all protected. These are network settings, Wi-Fi settings, network connectivity settings. These are all hidden. Okay, so let me log in there. And now you can get a little bit deeper. So you see here the change password, you got the debug mode, you can change here the poly TCA network settings if needed. So you see here some of those settings which you can change. You can see also the 8.21x if you need to enable that on the network, or some quality tagging to enable that. This is all like hidden under that admin password. Now also for the Studio X30, you find here, so you can set it to obtain an address or put in a fixed address if needed. But be aware that any changes you make here could have impact on the accessibility to connect to the device. You can turn on IP version 6. You find here also the 8.21x, the 8.2 and 1Q quality settings. And here you also got that LLDP. As I said, it's purely a network settings, so you can also tick that if you need to enable that negotiation on the network. And this is also available right here. Language setting, time and date, Bluetooth, which is also right here under the admin menu. Also for that, probably for that discovery, you got here the Teams admin settings. So I click also on that, which will go into that same menu as you've seen earlier. So the console pairing, wallpapers, etc. So this menu is like really hidden. So if you are in a sort of like shared meeting, so you set that meeting policy, then you got this one also hidden behind the and behind that that admin settings where you got that all together. Here you can do an admin sign out and a user sign out. An admin sign out is you sign out from this interface, but you stay signed in as a user, as a Teams user. But if I do that, let me show you that. The admin sign out means that I'm now back at the user level where I can do some basic things. So it's not signing out like completely from the device. It's just signing out in that interface, in that device interface, and you get back to this interface. Really nice. So as you can see, you got all those features and functionalities. Now, let me join a meeting here to also give you an indication about that experience. So if I join a meeting, what features do you have? First off, see here you got that like gallery. So in case you probably share content or you got multiple participants, you can play with those layouts. You can set here your icons and your emotions, which is also available. The button to share content if needed. So I can click also on that. Yeah. Here you see those three dots. And here you got live captions, turn off incoming video. You got dial pad in case you got the PSD analyzers, and turn off remote control. And that is that remote control from your device. So if you want to remote control it, you can disable that. And volume control. So here you see the volume of the device. You can turn the camera on and off, as you see right here. And you got that mute button. Yeah, and you got that list of participants right here. So if more participants are joining this meeting, you probably have there a good overview of everybody who is in that meeting. So these are the controls when you are in a meeting. Now, another new feature was joining a Teams webinar. So in case you set up a webinar from the Teams client, you can join it. And depending on your rights, you will have features and functions available. So let me join this webinar. So you see now I got a webinar schedule. Let me join that one. And depending on your access rights, you have the ability to do something. In this case, and you can see that here on my screen, you've joined as an attendee. And that means I don't have the ability, but you can see that also here through my camera and my mic, because these are both disabled. I'm just an attendee into this webinar. And so I can listen to the participants, I can hear them, but I don't have the ability here to share something or to provide feedback into this meeting. It's really a listening only mode, which is a use case for probably an educational or any of those specific one-way traffic video sessions. This can be very powerful. This is the webinar functionality, really nice, which is also now have the ability for StudioX to join that. One last item which I wanted to show is here on the right side, same thing as on the touchscreen, you got all those different options available. For example, the device mode, so I can click here also on the device mode and it will jump to the device mode, so you can hook up your laptop, USB cable, HDMI cable if you want to share something and use that here on this device. Also, I can exit this right here. So similar as with the touchscreen, on the TC8 you also have that side menu where you can use those different features. You can see also environment. So in case you want to control something, if you got like a sort of integrated environment, you want to have some controls in the environment like lighting or the air conditioner or anything, that is also a possibility. And I've showed you that also in some of my earlier videos. We got camera settings. So if you click on camera settings, you will find here camera control. You can set the camera control on and off. You can find here the camera if you want to manually PTZ. So it will jump to a PTZ screen. You go, so you can set some presets here and manual control the camera. You can turn here also the tracking on and off. So you got some basic controls there. And the last one here is settings all the way low. And here you can deep dive if needed into the different software versions, MAC addresses, etc. Just what is needed for your support. And that is the TC8. And yeah, I showed you just some of those new functions. Before we jump back into the presentation, I want to show you a new functionality, which is probably in the final tab, and that is casting from the Teams PC client, the Windows client. So let me show you that. If I go here to those three dots, I've seen a new option here, casting. And as I said, it could be that this is in the final public tab, so it could be that it's not available everywhere yet, but I expect this very, very soon. So if I click on that, it will search for nearby rooms. As you see here, I got my MTR Android right here. So this is discovered based on Bluetooth. This is a similar discovery as we had with Proximity Join. I can click on next, and then you got several options. So you can just cast, which means I just show my screen or share a presentation, etc. I can cast, so share something and let the system in that room join this meeting. Really nice. And here you see the same thing for the webinar. I can cast, so share something from my laptop and let that system in that room join. And it will automatically mute my laptop. So it will join my laptop in that same meeting and I got the ability to share content. So let me, for example, just cast something. I click on next and here you go. So you can now share your screen. So cast your screen, you can cast a window or you can cast presentation live. Really, really nice. So this is something which is in the final tab. So I would expect this feature very soon for the public. A lot of exciting things passes by. Really, really excited. Now, the next part, the next update on Zoom Rooms. So you can put StudioX and G7500 also in that Zoom Room mode. What is new? Important also, we'll ship the Zoom Room with the 594. That is the APK that comes with the 3.10 release. So if you install that one, from the 3.10 and Zoom comes out with a newer version through Zoom device management. It could be that they bring out a new version and you can always push, similar as with Teams, you can always push out a newer version if needed. That is in the basis, I think, really important. And if then Poly comes out with a new version, no problem. It will always do a cross check on that application running on the device. We introduced now the Smart Gallery, or we call it multi-view, different options. We've introduced that now as a beta feature in the G7500 with the E70, and we got that now as a beta feature on the Studio X70. So you can start and play around with that right now. And that multi-viewer, what it does, it will capture all the participants in the room, as you see right here, capture those participants, and in the Zoom meeting, you got the ability to see them all in separate streams, in the separate gallery. So it's really nice feature. If you got the equipment already there, I would say just get your hands on it and play around with it. It's a very nice features, and make sure that everybody who's sitting at home or any other location is able to see all the participants in the room very, very clearly. Now, what is also important, and I showed you this earlier in one of my updates, is that the interface of the TC8 has been updated, the Zoom controller interface. So you will see now a very nice slick interface. This is the older interface with that blue background. So now we got a nice white background, very clean interface with the calendar and the buttons. But I would say just look at one of my other videos, so I can put a link there where you will see the personal mode with Zoom, the shared room support with Zoom. You got all those different interfaces, and I'll walk you through that new design. Available now with G7500 and also available now with the Studio X in combination with the TC8. What more do we have? There's a lot of things going on the Zoom side. As I said, it's not only on the Microsoft side, on the Zoom side, same thing. We got workspace reservation now available. So if you walk into the office, as people start to come back in the office, you can now load a map inside the Zoom admin portal. And the nice thing is you can reserve rooms. So you can walk into a room, schedule that room, or you can just scan that QR code from your Zoom application on your phone, and you can check into those rooms. And when other participants walk into the office, they got a nice overview of which devices are available or not. So you need to load this map into the Zoom admin portal, and you got that great overview. Workspace reservation. I would just say check out some videos. I will also put some videos in the comments, so you're able to see how that functionality works, because I got some colleagues created some videos. So check that out. Workspace reservation, really, really nice. HDMI input as a secondary camera. So not only USB cameras. Now, if you got HDMI based camera, you can also use that now as a secondary camera. That is supported. All the devices has an HDMI input, so as well as the X50, the X70, but also X30, they have an HDMI input. So that is a possibility now to attach a camera to that. Meeting transfer. So you can control now, if you got a meeting on your phone, you can control now and transfer that now to a meeting room device. Also, I think a really powerful feature. So how many times you start your meeting on your mobile device and the meeting room becomes available, you just walk into that meeting room, you want to transfer that meeting, that is also a feature now available. Direct guest join is still in the beta. So this has been tested by customers. I also showed you that in one of my videos. If you haven't seen it, we'll put a link right there, so you can check it out. Really nice. So you got the ability, and that works with X30, X50, X70. So you at G7500, just enable this feature in the Zoom admin portal, and then if a Teams invite comes in, it's able to parse it, to read it, and you will join as a guest, like a sort of Chromium browser interface, but you have the ability, at least as a guest, to join that Teams meeting. I think this is a really powerful feature, and I've seen it also on the roadmap on the Microsoft site to join the Zoom meeting as a guest. So there's a lot of interesting things coming up in the next couple of months. I would say just watch my channel, keep an eye on my channel, subscribe, and always keep you updated on these developments. Another great new feature, which is part of the 3.10 release. And this is not specific to Teams or Zoom or any other provider. This is specifically to the Studio X's digital signage. So we already introduced AppSpace, and we have also now Radiant available in Studio X. So how many times you walk into those meeting rooms with a black screen and it's like empty, there's no information there, and how many times it would make sense to just use that room, give a sort of guidance on the television screen about using the touch controller, give a sort of guidance about the news, about the company, about people who are having their birthday. So you can do a lot of things there. And I think this is a great opportunity now to just use those rules. And I know that Zoom has this functionality already built in, so you don't use this with Zoom. But for example, in Teams, you could combine it with AppSpace or Radiant, and you can just use the screen and stay there. So people walk in, they're getting informed, and it feels very comfortable to give people a welcome when moving in there. As you can see, it's in a drop-down menu in the web UI, and you can select that and provide that information. But as usual, let me show you that functionality in the web interface. So where do you need to go? You go into the web interface of the Studio X, you sign in there. And what is important is you can use this in Teams mode or in any of the other video applications, but you cannot use it, for example, with Zoom. Zoom provides their own digital signage. Now you go to General Settings, you go here to System Settings, and here you will find that digital signage option. And then you need to enable that. Now, we first only had AppSpace. As you can see, we now have also Radiant available. Now, there's now public and private, so there is no private offering at the moment. So I know that the AppSpace has a private functionality where you can also do that if you are a private sector. You can also do that for Radiant. It's at the moment only public. You can set the timer, so after 15 minutes, after 2 minutes, or 5 minutes to start the digital signage, enable that, and then we save that. Now, what is nice is there is a test button. So if I click on test button, and let me show you that in the MTR Android meeting room, you will see on the screen to register your device with Radiant. So I will do that in a bit. So what I've also done is I went to the Radiant website and I created a free account. So you can create by just creating, like for one device, you create a free account and just play around with it. Really, really nice. You just go to the Radiant website and do that. Similar for what you have with AppSpace. So let me now just click on test and show you what will happen on the meeting room device. You will see this screen here on your Studio X on the big screen. And here you can use this activation code to go to the Radiant website and register your device. If you are not sure what it is and you need to register a new account, and you also got here the QR code to go with that. But I think this really straightforward and just good to play around with it. So let me do that. So remember this code, and now let me go back into that website. Log in here with my account. As I said, you can have one screen for free. So now I will get into the Radiant portal, and as you see, I've loaded some pictures already in here, but you can do anything. You can add a clock or a YouTube link, or you can add some photos. So in case nobody uses the device, it will then jump into that mode. Okay, so we need to first go here to screens. And if you go to screens here, we need to add that activation code. And so let me do that. So similar procedure as we had with the app space. So Studio X, coffee, all right, activate. Here you go. So now my system is activated, and what I see also here on the screen, as you can see, the registration was successful. Now let's go back to that portal. Now we're back in the Radiant portal. So what you will see is this is a free version. So that supports pictures, flyers, and YouTube. So that will be good to know. And the connectivity is good. But just remember that this is a free version, so it could be limited in some functionality. Now, what we need to do is we need to assign a playlist to this device. How do we do that? So you can edit the playlist. And here I got the ability to add something. So I already uploaded some of my pictures. So here I can add, for example, this, add to playlist and save that right here. So here I'm saving now, we're done. And now I've added that. And then we need to publish it. So here on the right side, you see a publish button. It's similar what you've seen with the with the app space functionality. And here you go. And so I published it now here to the screen. So that's very flexible and easy to use, Radiant. Now, what else is new in the 3.10 release? People detection, so the speaker tracking has greatly been enhanced in this version. So you should see an improvement in tracking participants in the room, and not only from the side, also from the back, standing against a whiteboard there. And this is this AI function which we train with every release. So I would say just test this out, try it out. But if you had in the past some issues detecting participants in the room, you should see a great improvements on this area. Tracking toggle. So we have a new functionality in the web UI where you can enable this functionality. So this was earlier only available in the interface or on the TCA to turn that tracking on and off. But now you also have this available in the web UI. So I think it would be good to just show you that functionality. So first, let me show you that functionality when you are in this Teams room as we are right now. And so to enable tracking, you have that right here. So you go to that side menu, you go to camera tracking, and here you see that functionality tracking on, and you can turn that off. And so that was more like only a user interaction. We're going to that side menu. You also had that functionality available on the touchscreen. So if you need to go into the touchscreen, you could also go to that side menu and turn tracking on and off. But now we also have this feature available as an admin who can do that through the web UI. So let me show you that. So again, you log in into the Studio X web portal, and what you will see now is under video inputs, you go a little bit down, here you go. So you'll find now that tracking functionality, which you got the ability now to also turn that on and off through the web UI. So if a user is not able to find it, there's always a possibility now to trigger that functionality. These were some great new additions as to Studio X. So you see with every new release, we get some new functionality. Now, to quickly give you an overview of the other updated applications. So here you see on the app space side, we updated that app. We got BlueJeans, which has been updated with some new functionalities. We got Dialpad, which had a maintenance release, Go to Room, RingCentral. So all these apps were updated to the latest and greatest. Now, one final note is always check the release notes, where you got all the latest and greatest and newer features and functionalities highlighted and all the minor details, but also on which hardware device the different applications are running. And that's it. That's the 3.10 update. And one final note there, thank you for watching. If you like this type of video, I would say just subscribe to my channel and I'll always keep you updated. Hopefully you enjoyed the 3.10 update, quite an extensive update there. If you got any questions, I would say just put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as good as possible. And I'm looking forward to see you in the next video.